Watch this video to the end so you will know the secret reasons of why some countries are rich and why others are poor. Welcome back to Veritologic, and for those of you who are new here, I'm Sam, your host for YouTube Talks, and I'm currently pursuing a PhD in economics. And yes, I've survived not one, but 2 business schools. Love economics and business? Then you're in the right spot. So let's get into these secrets. Have you ever wondered why some countries are rolling in wealth while others are just struggling to get by? Well, today we're diving into a fascinating journey with Nobel Prize winners Darren Acemoglu, Simon Johnson, and James Robinson. So strap in. Picture this: nations can thrive or they can dive based on their rules and institutions. There are 2 types of institutions. The first is called inclusive institutions. These are the good guys. They make sure everyone gets a piece of the pie. Think shared wealth and opportunities, where investing in things like education and businesses is a no-brainer. Whereas the second type of institution is called extractive institutions. And these are like the villains of our story. These let a small elite group grab most of the wealth, leaving the rest in the dust. Our Nobel heroes examined old colonies. What they found? Places where settlers faced deadly diseases often ended up with extractive institutions, exploiting the locals. But in areas with fewer health risks, inclusive institutions flourished, creating growth through property rights and free markets. Let's review a couple real-life examples. Ghana used to be under British rule, and the infrastructure in Ghana was built mainly to benefit British economic interests. Railways, ports, and roads were developed to extract and transport resources, such as gold, cocoa, and timber back to Britain. This setup primarily served British needs and didn't focus on local development. And even after independence, these extractive institutions remained, shifting benefits to local elites instead of the British. The Korean Peninsula provides a stark example of how institutions shape nations. After World War II, the peninsula was divided into North and South Korea. The North became a strict, authoritarian state with extractive institutions, leading to widespread poverty and stagnation. Meanwhile, South Korea, despite starting under a military dictatorship, gradually built inclusive institutions. Over time, it focused on education, innovation, and economic reforms, transforming into a wealthy democracy. This contrast showcases the profound impact of different institutional paths on a country's prosperity. Critics have their say. Some argue that education brought by Europeans played a big role. Others note that inclusive and extractive labels aren't always black and white. For instance, South Korea grew under a military dictatorship. Additionally, some historians point out that the definitions of these 2 types of institutions can be overly simplistic and don't account for complex historical dynamics, like how some inclusive institutions also had exploitative elements. Our Nobel Prize winners highlight that whether a country's institutions are inclusive or extractive, they can determine its wealth. Historical factors and government quality play pivotal roles in this saga. Their work offers a valuable perspective on understanding the complex reasons behind national wealth and disparities. Which example of how institutions shaped a country's fate surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, you might find the next one equally fascinating. So stay tuned because information is power. See you tomorrow.